Sometimes the scariest thing isn't ghosts or demons. It's the quiet things, the sounds we write off, the shadows we never quite see. And sometimes it's the realization that someone has been watching you from inside your own home. This story comes from a 28-year-old woman named Erin, who lived alone in a small house just outside Seattle. What she experienced sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it happened. Erin had just moved into the house a few months before. It was her first home. Nothing fancy, just a modest two-bedroom with an open kitchen and a small attic. She worked nights as a nurse, which meant she was often home alone during the day and asleep by early evening. She loved the peace and quiet, until the quiet started to feel off. It began with strange smells. At first it was a faint odor, almost like mildew or old food, coming from the vents. She assumed the ducts were just dirty. The house was old after all. Then came the sounds. It was subtle at first, just soft shifting or scratching, like something brushing against metal. Almost like movement. One night, around 3 a.m., Erin woke up to a strange thud. It came from above her ceiling vent. She froze, listening. Silence. She got up, turned on the hallway light, and checked the vent in the ceiling above the stairs. Nothing. She chalked it up to an animal. Maybe a raccoon had somehow gotten into the duct system. But over the next few nights, the sounds continued. Scratching, dragging, soft knocks. She told herself she was just tired, hearing things, stress from the night shifts. Until one night, something happened that shattered that illusion. Erin came home early one morning after a double shift. She tossed her bag on the couch, kicked off her shoes, and went to take a shower. When she came back into the living room, half-dressed, towel in her hair, she noticed the floor vent near the TV was slightly open. She crouched down and saw something inside. A pair of eyes, watching her. She screamed and jumped back. By the time she looked again, the eyes were gone. Shaking, she called the police. 2 officers arrived within minutes. They searched the house but didn't find anyone. They checked the crawl space in the attic. Still nothing. One of the officers suggested it was a dream. Maybe exhaustion, maybe paranoia. But Erin knew what she saw. The smell in the vents got worse after that. And so did the noise. She started sleeping with the lights on then. A few days later, Erin invited her brother over. She needed someone else to see what she was seeing. That night, they stayed up, lights off, house silent. Around 2:40 a.m., the scratching started again. They followed the sound to the floor vent in the hallway. Her brother crouched down, used his flashlight, and froze. There was movement inside. A person. They called the police again, this time demanding they check everything. And this time, they did. They pulled back a section of ductwork in the attic and discovered something chilling. A man, in his late 30s, gaunt, filthy, eyes wide with shock. He had been living inside the air duct system, crawling from room to room, using the vents as both passageways and peepholes. He had been there for weeks. He had stashed food, clothes, and even a small flashlight inside one of the vent junctions. Police later discovered he had broken into the house the day after Erin moved in, slipping in through the attic access panel behind the garage. He never left. During the day he stayed still. At night he crawled, watching, listening, sometimes breathing just above Erin's bed through the metal grates. The man was arrested and charged with unlawful entry and stalking. He refused to speak, didn't give his real name, no ID, no background, just silence. It turned out he was a drifter, someone who had squatted in abandoned buildings for years, perfecting the art of staying hidden. And Erin? She moved out the very next week. To this day, she says the sound of metal clinking or a gust of air from a vent sends chills down her spine. She still checks every grate before she sleeps. Because the worst monsters don't hide under your bed. They live inside your walls. If you ever hear something in your vents, don't assume it's just the wind.